IVM.
Now, I know the fan garage seems like a place which my mother fears I'll spend the rest of my adult life in, but fortunately for her, it's actually a great podcast on sports. Something else she wishes I chose instead of being a nerd. Get your daily news on all the action going on in cricket, fantasy cricket, and Indian football every day on iTunes, Stitcher, or even the IVM Podcast app. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Fruit podcast. Today's a very special episode because we have a special guest. We don't really get too many guests in the show because we really like to hear ourselves talk.
They're all special.
Yes, so Jishnu,
Separate
today,
but equal.
you and I have a special guest. We have Saurabh. Hi Saurabh.
Hello.
Saurabh, what do you do?
I wonder that myself sometimes.
Okay, I feel like we have to give a formal introduction because anybody who wants to introduce Saurabh, yeah.
Before you introduce what you do, I think the simplest way to put it is that you know what Dinkar does.
Because
which is what we all really want to know.
I think contextually everybody can know that Saurabh is Dinkar's boss.
Yep.
And let's just put it that way.
So let's just cut all the bullshit. Let's get straight into it. Tell us what the people want to know. What the hell does Dinkar do?
Okay, so he warned me that this would happen.
Yeah.
And I had a preprepared statement.
So, let's hear
I've
it.
forgotten all of it. But he's a very, very important part of our lives now, seriously. He's the one who carries the flame on pranks in the office.
Uh-huh.
He is the resident geek, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
check my
nothing.
notes.
Okay, then.
So nothing really. Okay.
Great.
Fair enough. We just wanted to clear
It
that
will
up.
remain that way.
See, the thing is that Dinkar is not just an international man of mystery. I mean, we hardly know what he does at work. We hardly know sometimes whether he has a real roommate that exists physically, and it's not just been made up for tax purposes, which is true. We didn't really meet his roommate for
I've
several years.
never met his roommate.
I did, but the circumstances of which
your circumstances were really shady. It was middle of the
very
night.
We were really drunk.
Out on the road somewhere.
Yes.
Like he literally pointed at
It's
a
like
stranger.
he hired someone to
Yeah.
come and pretend to be his flatmate so that he would...
Could be a puppet.
Yes, it's true. So, Saurabh, you're here on this episode because you have something that we do not, which is
A loving family.
a loving family, sure. No, but...
And a roommate. I have a roommate.
You have a roommate. Yeah, and you had kids with your roommate.
That's true.
Yeah.
That must have been awkward.
Yeah. So you are a father of 2 children.
That's right.
What are your kids' names and who are they? And what do they do? How old are they? Let's start with that.
Angira's just going to be 15 and she's a footballer meets Kathak dancer meets
Oh, damn.
Wow.
wannabe psychologist.
Oh, multi-talented. Okay.
And she's conscientious, neat, and everything that I'm
Nice.
not. Clearly doesn't get it from me.
Okay.
Also looks good.
You're just being nice because you know that they might listen to this, right?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone listens
Do
to
they
this.
do
but-
they listen to this show?
I tried. This is
Okay.
one of the things I tried. This didn't go down.
Okay.
right.
And your other kid?
And the other?
And the younger one's Angad. He's going to be 13
Okay.
next month.
All right.
He's also a footballer.
Yeah, with a name like Angad, I would imagine that's a if I say the name Angad, I have to fist bump when I say
Yeah,
that.
he's the
yeah.
exact opposite of all of that. He's,
Alright.
he's slight and quite a lithe frame. He's just shot up in height, but he used to be
So
tinier.
how old is he again?
He's just going to be 13 next
Okay,
month.
so he's still a tween.
He's a twin.
What is the tween cut
Between
It's between.
double digits and 13.
So,
So 10 to 13? You wanna say?
Yeah.
But
9 to
13 is a
13.
teen, right? I thought it's 11 and 12 is tween.
So 11 or 12.
9, 10, 11, 12.
So he's going
is
to be
what we
13.
used to consider in
so right
Disney.
now he's 12.
Okay.
So he's a tween.
Yeah.
So you have one tween and one tween.
Glad we
That's
cleared
true.
that up.
Well, that's cool. And so we have called you on this show because you are in a very small intersection of a Venn diagram, which is somebody who is a geek, a proper nerd, and you like your fandoms, etc. But you also have children who have now entered the loving world of science fiction, fantasy, adventure, and also are going to be nerds, or they already are nerds and they watch a lot of pop culture, I want to assume.
This is true.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So you have both sides of that spectrum. And so today's episode really is about how to get your kids into sci-fi, or if you can do anything with them at all, because it's very difficult to tell, kids how to live their lives, especially when they're getting into that dangerous tween into teen zone. And so
No, that's way past when you cannot tell them. That starts at 5 now.
Oh gosh!
Oh, wow.
Things have changed.
Things have
a little
changed.
bit from-
Okay, yeah, we have very little or no knowledge about this.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start with. Why don't you tell us first about what you got into as a kid? And, like what types of like movies and, maybe music, whatever, that got you into
Right.
pop culture and things like that.
So this is the funny thing. I was listening to Phil Collins the other day, and I want to say this out loud to everyone who listens to this at least.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of Phil Collins.
Yeah.
And if you think
Good
that's
man.
uncool,
No, good
Dude,
man.
Phil Collins
Good
is
man.
not ever.
He
Its
is.
age is timeless.
You can't
I
deny.
mean, isn't it?
It is. You can't
I
deny
would
the man.
think
But
so.
we are the wrong people to
So
disagree.
screw
that
the
point.
other people.
Yeah.
Let them get their own damn podcast and talk about how much they don't like Phil Collins.
So yeah, Phil Collins is pretty dope. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, but there's this whole thing in pop culture today which says this is music like his.
But
For
a lot
whatever
of
reason.
music today sounds like his music.
It's true.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So, that sucks. Also, the man has done 2 Disney movies.
Who's the other? Tarzan and?
Brother Bear.
All right.
Oh, I didn't know about
Never
that.
saw
Yes,
that.
he has a great song in that
Should I-
called Take a
should I
Look Through
see
My Eyes.
that?
Yes.
Is it good?
See it and listen to the soundtrack even
It's
more
a nice
so.
movie.
I put
Yes.
Brother Bear and Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, in
Hey,
the same
Stallions,
category.
speaking of which,
Bryan Adams, yeah, I know.
who I'm
Yes.
going to watch
I
on
know,
October 12th.
12th.
Yes.
For the 85th time?
for the
What?
4th time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is, I've seen him more than I've
Please.
seen Indian artists.
Yeah. That may well be true. No, that's awesome. Okay, so you're talking about Phil Collins,
Yeah,
which
right,
means
so-
you grew up in the 80s primarily.
80s
Yeah.
primarily, and a lot of my taste was defined by 2 powerful forces. An elder brother, 6 years older. So,
Oh, I have a 6-year-old elder brother.
and,
Likewise.
and he was the cool guy in campus. He's not the studious nerd that I was.
Okay.
So he had a lot of good, tasteful things that he used to do. Apart from the Samantha Fox fandom that he had,
Okay.
which everyone did at that time.
Okay.
We're forgiven for those. But he's the one who went to the Sting concert.
Nice.
Sting
Alright,
and
awesome.
Bruce
Wow.
Springsteen in Delhi.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, super cool
Wait,
thing.
Bruce,
Jesus.
the boss was in India?
Yeah, man, there was this stand up for your rights, something to do with the rights.
Oh, man.
It was a human rights
it was,
now. That's
it was
what
him
it was
with
called.
the E Street Band or just him?
No, it was him. It was Sting, and there was one more person that I
Was
was
it Tracy
forgetting.
Chapman?
No,
Because I
no, I'm
remember
not sure.
I have a bad story about apparently she was like booed off stage in India and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's why she'll never come back here.
What the?
Indians. Anyway, go ahead.
So he would be doing all this. So all my music taste comes from him. There's cheesy bits and there's a lot of rock.
Yeah.
And like I love Scorpions because
Love Scorpions. Man, I missed them by
Right.
day. Sorry, go ahead.
And
Yeah.
I was just dissing. We were having this Rammstein versus Scorpions the other day. I was representing Scorpions.
Of course, 'cause Scorpions is
So
better
that
than
whole
Rammstein.
thing was him because that was the source you had, right? Either you had friends or you had someone who would source music from somewhere, and we would have those tapes, and you'd play what you'd play.
Jishnu,
And
did
you're-
you have that? Like, did your brother define your taste in the beginning?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah?
Very much so.
So, like, let's
Brother
take
and my dad.
take a broad topic. Star Wars came from your brother. Did your brothers introduce you to Star Wars?
No.
No, so that's the other part.
Okay.
So music very clearly.
Very
him.
clearly his. Okay.
Content consumption was limited to bloody Doordarshan.
Didi.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
that, right? So so whatever they showed is what I grew up watching.
Okay.
And my most important memory of that is Star Trek. It has to
Ah,
be
yes.
10:30.
The original or next gen?
No, the original.
the original. This is before
10:30
next gen.
a.m.
Would still take me 80s. Okay, cool.
Yeah, 10:30 a.m. This is the thing that I would slow down, stop everything
Amazing.
Shouldn't you have been in school?
for on Sunday.
Sunday, man.
This is what Ramayana used to do to the rest of the world. For me, it was Star
Right.
Trek
Awesome.
before Ramayana days. So I was the guy who made communicators out of matchbox. I can still do it.
Nice.
I was teaching my kids that the other day. They were not very impressed because they have
They have real communicators.
giant supercomputer
They're called,
and
mobile
They have
phones.
Amazon.com.
why is this important to you?
Yeah.
Why make it at home?
Yeah, so Star Trek
So you're
started it off.
Trekkie before
Yes.
a Warzian.
Absolutely.
Wow, nice. Awesome. That's good.
So Star Wars happened Star Wars, and I want to say this. The third force was the people who went to British Council Library.
oh.
That was a thing for us because that was another source of the outside world at a
Right.
cheap cost.
Right. Were you a
Coming
big
home.
reader? Like in...
I was a huge reader. So there was a time in the 6th, 7th standard when someone bequeathed their entire kids' library to me.
Correct.
And I was just... This picture now that I can create is that, Anarkali, when she was killed, they would put brick by
Yeah,
brick.
brick, yeah.
So if each of those was an Enid Blyton book, I would happily die.
Hey, but she wasn't
Wow.
killed. She leaves
that was
in the
me.
secret passage. Sorry.
That.
Mughal
I
Azam,
am very weak on Mughal Azam.
facts. There was a play actually recently.
I saw the music.
Was it good?
Cool.
Cool. Moving on.
Yeah. No, I mean the dancing, the live
Production
singing,
I'm sure was great.
absolutely stunning.
Okay.
I still can't get behind that story. Like this whole...
The story is not the strongest contemporarily.
please...
Do you know the story of...
I do not.
You have seen Mughal Azam?
I have not.
So, just quickly. Mughal Azam, classic story about, Salim, the son of Akbar, and he wants to marry this girl Anarkali, and his dad's like...
Not Admiral Akbar, just...
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Which is so funny because he lays a trap for her. Anyway, and in the end they're divided by basically this. They trap her in a tomb which is like laid like brick by brick, and they cover her up. And
Bury her alive.
Bury her alive.
But
Amazing.
now here's the cool thing about this movie, and this is the real thing. This is how I got to know about it. Is that when I used to watch this as a kid, it didn't really make a difference to me. But later on, I realized how the movie is half in black and white, half in color. It's because they only had the budget for so much color, and so they'd put it in the songs. And the songs, when it turns into color, it's like this one dance which she does, which has like all these mirrors and stuff, and it is fantastic. There's no doubt about it.
Sure.
So, but and now it's fully in color, right? Like
Yes,
they've
colorized the whole
They've
thing.
colorized. It's not the same, man.
No.
It's not the same. But yeah.
So back Enid Blyton is that
Yes.
force for me. I read everything and I reread it and I reread it.
Like, are you a famous Five or a Secret
No,
Seven
I'm
guy?
the
Hardy
Five Finder.
Boys.
Five Finders.
and
Oh,
Dogs.
classic.
I missed
Yeah.
that one.
I was
that
fatty. I was a fatty, so it was very obvious where I would be. But I grew up thinking of scones. I had no idea what scones were, but
yeah.
they kept eating them.
I still don't know what a scone is.
I finally tried them in England.
Yeah.
It's underwhelming.
It's bread.
No magic.
Is it bread in a scone
it's
shape?
like a biscuitish.
Exactly. That's what it
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like.
yeah.
It looks like bread, but it's slightly differently shaped.
But I believe you're supposed to have it with like tea or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
Much
yeah,
like most breads.
No, I don't have bread with tea. You have rusks with tea.
You have
I mean,
to
like,
have them in an Enid Blyton novel.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
Sorry,
what
you have to
imagine.
read a book.
The circumstance
and
is
then
more important than the
Yeah,
food.
Yeah,
I think
very
so.
true. Man, Enid Blyton, amazing at describing like those things which you really wanted. Also a racist.
Yeah, see, I didn't know this, right?
A lot of things back then were.
And I kept
yeah.
wondering why she's not part of school kids' life. So kids grew up reading Adrian Mole and Wimpy Kid.
Yeah,
Those are the big
yeah.
names for
Now,
this
right now.
For this
Yeah,
generation.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid is pretty
and
big.
Enid Blyton never came into, and then straight went to J.K. Rowling, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I think also
Yeah.
it's that fine line. I don't know what your kids got woke, but and decided Enid Blyton was not cool anymore. But I
That.
think
Imagine
let's
if-
try and come to a conclusion by the end of this episode. What year precisely did kids
I
get
think.
woke?
Imagine if Enid Blyton had a Twitter, then she would never be allowed to direct any Disney movie ever.
Oh, okay. That's still hurting, is it?
Oh yeah.
I believe they had a conversation with James Gunn. They finally met,
They did
Oh,
the
yeah?
breakup
and
talk,
they
yeah.
they talked about it. And
It's
they,
not you, it's me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they spoke and they both decided that both. I'm putting
Yeah.
air quotes here,
Yeah.
but yeah, and they both decided that this is not going to happen because I think there's too much. It's too sour.
Yeah.
If not anything
So
else.
here's
But
the
anyway.
thing on
I'm
that.
not bitter at all.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything to do with the tweets. Honestly, after working in corporate for so long, it's usually something else that they've already
Well,
taken the
it's-
call
I think
on.
it's the political stance.
it's of course
Because
it's a
Roseanne
political
did it, we got to do the same. And like,
No, that would just help. The decision has to be a harder, creative business decision, which is now it's being posted to you as based on his being not that guy that you think
Yeah.
he is.
No,
because otherwise he has a lot of love. Like what you're doing right
Yeah,
now
of
is
course.
because
Yeah.
there's a serious fan base that he,
Yeah, yeah.
he commands.
And no, man, like everything that Ryan Johnson does since like Looper has made me like him more. He did this. He put out this tweet saying, somebody posted a tweet saying, "Oh, Ryan Johnson just deleted 1,500 of his tweets from his earlier timeline," and he replied saying, "Yeah, I don't want to lose my job."
Right,
Next
yeah,
time I wanna do
exactly.
it. It's like obviously I'm just
Yeah.
taking care of stuff. It's
Yeah,
fine. It's like it's fine if you. There's nothing like dangerous or bad or anything about it, but I just gotta have my own back. That's basically it. So I was like, yeah,
Sounds
fair
about
enough.
right.
Man is sound. So
Anywho.
let
So
us
Enid
move
Blyton.
on. Yeah. So what would you say were your biggest loves? And let's like try and divide into. Did you like prefer sci-fi over like mystery, or if you were a find outers guy, then like that's like crime and stuff like that. Were you like more into any specific
yeah, like
genre as
fantasy
opposed to
versus science fiction? Like, where
So
do
I
you-
went deep into Sherlock Holmes, obviously.
Yeah,
I
okay,
had to.
classic.
And then I was making the BCL reference, British Council.
Yeah.
And it was that someone there randomly,
Yeah.
a friend, said, "So what are you reading these days?" And then he points to this thing that's on the shelf and says, "You've obviously read this guy, right? J.R.R. Tolkien."
Oh, nice. Okay,
Like, I just
see.
gave the blankest look and he couldn't believe it. He was aghast.
Yeah.
So he made me drop everything I had and made me take that and cut to
Sure.
I've lost the next 3 weeks.
Started with Hobbit or with Fellowship?
He made me do it the right way.
Okay.
So
Correct.
start
You
with
should do
Hobbit.
Hobbit.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also read Hobbit first.
Yeah.
So I read Hobbit first, then I did Fellowship, and then I couldn't finish Fellowship. But then the movies came out, and then I did Two Towers and Return of the King, and then it was fine. But I still haven't read it.
See, they're tough to
likewise.
finich.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I'm just
Like
not
the
a
only
reader.
thing tougher than that is Game of Thrones to read, but
No, Game of Thrones. What? No. Game of Thrones is a much
I've heard,
easier
that's
read.
that's the opinion I've heard more of. That Game
Then-
of Thrones is the easier read.
Because
but
I've
I don't know.
read 3 of those books, and I've read only 2 from the Lord of the Rings.
So here's this admission. I read this because someone gave me that book for free. It was a cheap PDF.
Nice.
And I started it, and they said it's great. And this was way before the series was even announced.
Sure.
And I read it, and I said, "What is this rubbish?" And I threw it away.
Oh.
And cut to this things exploding around me. Everyone's just
everyone
talking.
says
Did you
cool.
finish the book or did you leave it?
No, I couldn't finish it.
You
It was
couldn't
that
finish
bad. And
Okay,
that's
sure,
rare
sure,
for me
sure.
because if I start something, I need
Right.
to, like Mum said, finish what's on your plate.
Right.
Because kids are dying in Africa, not reading books or whatever the hell.
Yeah, and my response to that has always been, how mean are you for not wanting to give the food to the kids in Africa?
Why'd you give it to me when
yeah,
you know
exactly.
I don't?
When you know,
I don't
when you
finish
are
my-
armed with this knowledge.
I wish I had this argument
Very
right now.
good. Yeah.
I hope my kids are not listening.
So you have you completed Game of Thrones since then?
No, I can't do it. So it was crime, and then it went to fantasy.
Fantasy.
And then it stayed there. So then I found Douglas Adams. And,
Right.
Cool. Awesome.
and lots of British stuff. So the other thing that Doordarshan did for me was having an appreciation for British humor much earlier and harder than.
What were
for-
the shows that they would
So
play on
Are You
that?
Being Served? Some others do have them.
Was it like the era of Yes Prime Minister?
Yes,
and all?
Minister. Yes, Prime Minister
yeah.
was. That would be those would be the tentpole names that everyone remembers. But and I've read the Yes Minister books.
Oh wow. Okay. Did they? Oh no, that was even. This is before Jeeves and Wooster. Also, like all
no.
the PG Woodhouse
So
stuff.
the fag end of that is when I said
Monty
fag
Python?
end.
Yeah.
No,
It's
so
I
Blackadder.
love
it with
one of
my
my favorite
everything.
shows. Yeah.
With my
It's so
everything.
bizarre and
Every day
funny
after
and-
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gives me a little joy when I see my kids love Bean.
Oh,
Because
nice.
it's that,
Awesome.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
yeah, we grew up with Bean also. Yeah, yeah. That's true.
Let's take a break.
Yep.
And when we get back, I want to get into that notion of what did you know when you were consuming it that it was something that you wanted to pass on? Stuff that you knew you loved at the time that you needed to make sure that your next of kin continues watching
Yeah.
this thingy. And I'm
Let
sure
me
there's
write
something
that
in there.
down.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's take a break.
Hey, it's been another great week on IVM. Are you following us on social media yet? If not, you definitely should be. We're IVM Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Last week, we released a brand new show called Know Your Kanun with lawyer Amber Rana. This week, Amber talks about the laws and rights related to sexual harassment in public spaces. On the Kinetic Living podcast, Urmi talks to none other than Rajesh Kumar, aka Rosesh from Saurabh vs. Saurabh, to talk about his fitness transformation. On Shunya One, we had an interesting conversation about all things money, insurance, and more with Mukesh Kalra from ET Money. On the Kolaba Cartel this week, Abhishek and Gauri talked to me about their philosophy of building and organizing a team. On The Seen and the Unseen, Amit Verma talks to the journalist and author Snigdha Poonam about her first book, Dreamers, which chronicles the aspirations of a young India. On the Pragati podcast, Pawan and Hamsari decode the concept and the meaning of the term Swaraj with Professor Akash Singh Rathore. We have also released a new podcast called Wordy Wordpecker with Rachel Lopez, where she deciphers a new word every week. I'm not revealing what this week's word was, so check it out to make sure. Also, guys, we are hiring a new producer, a social media intern, and a graphic designer. If anybody's interested, please apply to jobs@indusvox.com. And with that, continue with your show.
Right, we're back. We're talking with Saurabh Kanwar from Flarepath. I guess we didn't really introduce you or your company like properly, but that's fine.
He's
isn't
the
it?
boss of the man with no
He's,
job.
yeah, he's the man with no job. That's
He
the
has-
dirty
by
hang
the
I
way,
missed.
He has 3 jobs.
Which are?
I just want to say this
Which
to
are?
you. So
What is
Flarepath is where
position?
he started.
I've never got his business card, by the way. I've
He's
I
not
have
been
it,
given
I have
one.
it in my. No, what are you guys talking about? I keep
What
it in
does
my
it say?
wallet for good luck.
Why has he never given me one? Oh,
Oh,
right.
really?
yeah,
He
yeah.
got one.
Read it out, read it out, read it out.
Who made this?
Flarepath on one side, the other one says creative director, I guess. Video, and it says video. I guess he's the creative director of videos.
So his 3 jobs are creative, director, and
Let's
video.
give out his phone number for people. No,
So creative director for Flarepath,
Uh-huh.
which is an agency.
but I knew that. We all know that.
And then video is a standalone thing, which he's doing like industrial levels of.
Sure.
And then the third is this thing that we've started called ATKT, which is a
Correct.
campus talent and.
But
things
he's like
that.
the
So
overseer there, right? Like
He's
he
a-
just has
he's
one
a-
palantir
he's a
in
bit of-
the
Hang on,
office.
hang on.
and-
His birthday was just like a few days ago. Didn't
Yeah.
he give a speech at work on his birthday?
speech.
We were at his
He
place.
gave a
the night
commencement
his
of
birthday.
sorts.
Yeah,
I don't
didn't he?
know
Didn't he
what.
give like he said he had to go tomorrow? Like he had to have an early night, the night of his birthday, because he had to like give some talk or something. He had to deliver some address. I assumed he was wearing robes and there was a podium and a lot of pomp and circumstance and horns and stuff playing. Nothing happened.
No. Senate.
See, every time we talk about his job, I get disappointed.
I think all he did must have been like, it just be like, you guys good? Cool. That's pretty much it.
There's a picture of Dinkar and there's a bus and I've just thrown him underneath it.
It's fine.
We're driving the bus.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So,
Anywho.
to carry on
with that question.
With Jishnu's question, I feel like, I've met a few friends of ours who are nerds and stuff. Like I used to have a friend who said, I'm going to collect all the Mallory Towers and I'm going to keep them because I want my kids to read them, or I want to keep all my Lego or my action figures, something to kind of but the entire plot of the Lego movie is kind of like around that.
Pretty much.
So what are the things that you hold so personally like dear to you in your nerd kind of universe that you wanted to pass on, and was that a success or was that a failure?
Okay, yeah. So partly successful. Partly because of genetics, I think. So cars was important to us kids back then. There was not a lot of collectibles that you could do.
Like Matchbox and
Matchbox.
stuff. Matchbox.
Dinkies we were calling them at that time.
Yeah. I totally forgot about Dinkies.
And I had this cherished collection.
Nice.
And that still stays to this day. But my son grew up instinctively liking cars for some reason.
Okay.
So nothing that I think I did to make that happen.
Apart
so
from
he
like
loved
just
it.
You went for the soft sell. They're like, these are around if you want to play with them.
I was the dealer who fed him to feed the habit. And boy, so that was like the short way.
Awesome.
Enid Blyton was the other one. So I would read your Hardy Boys and Nancy
Love
Hardy
Boys, yeah.
And so I would love them, but I didn't think there was a thing to pass on there. It was very chakna.
Fair enough. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Even then, the legacy had started they weren't the high point for me.
Sure.
So, and maybe personal. And then there was Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators. I don't know if you remember that. It's a bizarre construct. So it was someone who got licensed Alfred Hitchcock's name for this mystery series.
Wait, it's not actually Alfred Hitchcock.
And he features in that. So when the denouement happens in each of the books, they go and meet Mr. Hitchcock himself.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
It is very cool. And I don't know why more people don't know about it. I don't think it was very, very huge even back then.
They made him a fictional character for his reputation? That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And so these kids grow up in that near LA area and they have lots of adventures. Very cool. Actually layered more than Hardy Boys was. So I thought that would be...
I love Hardy Boys.
Yeah. And I don't think there were that many books in this. Okay. By the way, the thing that really destroyed Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew for me was that they were all written by different... There was no Franklin W. Dixon.
Yeah.
It just...
Yeah, it's a
many things.
What do they call it?
So it's just like a mass-produced assembly line of books.
It was an assembly. Back then, there was like a family of writers.
But it must have been like an MCU type thing because they were like never not running themes or anything like that. But they were like just the characters were very.
Right, they would have to be canon, like
sure, have to be. Yeah, I guess it was a status quo.
And to that end, like literally just last night, I was watching the directors' roundtable of Infinity War with all the directors together, and I didn't, and always knew it, but I never quite realized how much freedom they're given. Even though you have the thread between all the movies, each guy's given his own, like, you make it more James Gunny, make it more Ryan Coogler, make it your own thing. So in that, and that's why you can tell, like, each movie is its own thing, unlike an assembly line like this.
Yeah, otherwise it would look like processed cheese. You're right. Yeah,
they're trying to
have the flavor.
The point was to make it look the same.
It was fine. Why didn't they ever make a Hardy Boys movie? They had a TV show, right?
I don't know.
I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past the...
I know about the Nancy Drew movie. And
that was something Roberts, Julia Roberts' niece.
Okay, so what did you try to sell to your kids that just didn't land?
Enid Blyton. That is my...
And that hurts?
It hurts. It still hurts to this day. And I know it's not them.
Sure.
Because everything else I fed as a dose of pop culture or whatever, literature. They read everything.
I guess it's like, it's kind of like what your contemporaries are kind of also into. So I'm sure like kids in their class, I don't know how many of them are coming from backgrounds where their parents are being like, oh, you should check out Enid Blyton, or you should like read this.
And I would imagine all of us grew up reading it, but just when you went to book shows or exhibitions or things that would happen in their schools, there was very little Enid Blyton going on. So I knew that it wasn't them. Nobody
it had phased out,
It just didn't happen. Yeah. It just died.
So it's also another thing which is kind of important, I suppose, for kids, and this is really like how we all grew up. Like a big part of me being able to enjoy Star Wars is that I could talk to my friends about it. So if, you kind of introduce them to something, but it's not really in the zeitgeist of it, it kind of becomes like less fun. because it's the whole sharing
It's
of
a
it.
shared
yeah.
universe, right? That's true.
Ah,
And at
that's
that
cool.
age, more than anything else.
Yeah, man, because that's
what your tribe is doing is very important.
So
Totally.
true.
Yeah.
So what
So what is the tribe doing right now?
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask. What have you kind of picked up from them? Because
Yeah.
honestly,
Is there anything that they turned you onto?
Jake Paul.
What is a Jake
What?
Paul?
It's just YouTubers, basically. Not
Oh
necessarily Jake Paul.
my
They would kill me if I
God.
said Jake Paul, attributed Jake Paul to them.
Oh,
They don't like
jeez.
them, but the
Man.
Paul brothers are generally considered assholes now.
Logan Paul and-
Logan and Jake Paul. Yeah.
Oh.
I see. Oh, yeah. They
yeah.
have. They've been
For the right reasons.
straight off the
they're
coast.
idiots,
Yeah,
but,
they're idiots. Yeah.
but
So
a lot of that creators.
So is a YouTuber thing a big deal?
YouTube
now?
and before that Viner. Actually, Viners were the definitive.
Oh, man.
Like
Vines.
it's
So,
a huge thing.
Little quick aside. About a year, maybe 2 years ago, I forget. I actually did a job for your company with Dinkar.
Yeah.
Where I went to the YouTube headquarters
correct,
for a
right.
week and did a bunch of
With those
BTS filming
creators,
for the
yeah.
creators. So
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
I spent a total of 5 days non-stop surrounded by like about 20 or so of these, like about a dozen, maybe more of these YouTube creators
Right.
who I'd never really met. I'd never met a single person that was a creator, and I was immediately thrust into a room with almost 20 of them for 5 days straight.
and these are all guys with more than 100,000.
Yeah,
Correct,
10,000 to 100,000 or
And
something
that's
like that.
TL5, I believe.
Yeah,
nonsense.
and man, I felt like I was on another planet. I just didn't understand the way these guys function because they're just always on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Life is like on
Life
Life
is,
stage. They've really taken that.
As in
to, like,
they're
do
in
hard.
character. As in like they're not in character. That is
They
who
were
they
born in character.
Yeah, so
the
that's who
thing.
they are.
So,
That's
so if you've ever grown up around VJs, because I had to as part of my
Yeah,
job, you would get that vibe.
yeah.
And the VJs never turn the camera on themselves. These
Right.
guys have to run their own cameras as well.
Right. Yeah.
Except for Brocha. So Brocha just lives on a planet of his own, in a bubble of his own, which is constant entertainment. I just don't know why anybody, like I've told Amit this, that you should just have a camera on the guy all the time. It's pure entertainment.
Yeah.
Like wall to wall.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I would watch that. It's like the Truman Show.
It's the Truman Show. Yeah.
But apart
Except
from
where
that,
he would know it and he would like lean into it.
he totally leaned into it. Yeah, he would. That's
So,
it.
Yeah.
so what is it about the vloggers that pulled you in? I guess like
He also
as you said-
works in the media.
Yeah.
There
So,
is
so was
that.
it was it that
So-
was it
so
that the
I am-
professional like curiosity?
That is true. There is a bit of that from the parents that the other kids have to me. There is I'm transitional
Sure.
to the uncles and aunties.
You're in the biz
because I'm in the biz. I need
Yeah.
to know some of this stuff.
Right.
So I'm a little more familiar.
Okay.
You're a cool dad.
Yeah, I'm cooler.
Just take it.
But
Take the
but
compliment.
if I do the floss or if I dab, instantly that fat is
that's true.
dead in my house.
Yeah, I think in 156 episodes, that's the first time the word dab has been
so
said on this
funny.
show.
Except to like upon a forehead.
I guess.
Yeah, but that's hilarious that you can instantly
man.
make something uncool.
Yeah.
I have
you
that
have
power.
a new power.
I have a power.
You have a power that none of us
He
have.
has dad moves, man.
That's insane. Because like here we try and talk about things because they're cool, and if we're talking
Yeah.
about it, that you know whatever people influencers kind of assign that that
Right.
thing to a product or to something. But you have the opposite. You have the snap of Thanos. Literally, you can literally just do like one thing,
I
like
will
a
use that.
dab.
Okay, but wait.
I'm gonna use it.
But hang on. Inversely, though, you were the coolest man on the planet when Civil War came out because you got us tickets to the premiere,
This
and
is
that was
true.
amazing. Now, when you're able to pull stunts like that, do your kids go, "Oh shit, that's cool"? Because we're at the freaking premiere. I mean, like that's
I
not.
don't know.
a-
Do they
that's
value
what-
it? Do they
yeah,
value
they
it?
do. They do.
Okay.
Okay.
And this actually has a more tweener version, which is that when my kid was watching High
School
School Musical,
Yeah.
High School Musical, back in the day, and I was working in Disney at that time.
Okay.
Oh, I was
my
just out. I
gosh.
just left Disney at that time, and she continued growing with the
Right.
the various versions. Her birthday, and I had this brainwave saying, "I know it's being released. I know the prints are here." And how about I show her and her friends the movie early?
Yeah.
And I just
You must have
talked to a
got
few
some
people and they said,
solid points for
sure,
that.
no problems. We have a preview. Here's the paperwork. Take it. I got a preview theater here in Bandra it's really cheap to get one of those.
Yeah.
3 or 4 grand. And lots of popcorn. And, those things that pom-poms.
Saurabh,
that-
my birthday's in like
Yeah.
less than 2 months, huh?
Just
letting you know. Yeah?
Avengers 4.
Just say
But-
Hero for that year. Like,
But
I
like-
work for ATKT now. I can get you.
Get us
people-
college
Give me your
kids.
passes to
Poetry.
Malhar.
Poetry.
Yeah.
Wow, but you must have like brownie points must have been scored.
yeah,
that
that's
year
awesome,
was a good year for me. That was a good one.
That was a vintage.
Clearly a good one. But so introducing them to things that you cherish, I think it's always been hard. It's getting harder not because of anything else, just the choices.
Right.
They have
Yeah, there's so
many.
much, man.
What are you going to fight with?
So this brings me to another point. So I wanted to ask about, so like you said, when you were a kid, your TV choices specifically, like video media, your options were very limited because of Doordarshan and technology the way it was, right? We all, at the time when we were kids, I guess kids will always think this way, you always want more, you're never going to be satisfied no matter what the circumstances. And now that you're literally in the business of creating more content for people, do you find yourself sort of imposing those dad rules that we all had to deal with of like, no, you shouldn't watch that much TV because it's bad for you, or, like, please read more books instead of watching stuff, even though you're the one that's doing it, that's creating it and sort of advocating for that?
I think my world, a lot of that paid for their education. So apart from one hard stance that I took for myself, less for them, which is that I never had a cable connection. For the last 7 years, I've not had one.
Right.
Because I couldn't bring myself to watch another ad break. As soon as I left that world and started my business, that was my getting rid of it. They never missed it. So they never missed out on it. That is not a thing that gets discussed. They don't discuss CID on the playground. And so that's not their jam. So they never miss that, and Netflix and Amazon Prime and YouTube have fit that. So, but I think that the thing that's missing is just some cornerstones of what made my life. So I would say Brit humor or Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, for example. Right? There's no way in hell that you're going to say that's not cool for me, because I grew up worshipping that guy. And even now when I see it in a meme, I want to take it to the kids and be like, this is so funny, and they go like, oh, the hell.
I don't know if Ace Ventura kind of like aged well? Because
I don't know.
Zany as hell comedy.
I showed it to my kids.
It's peak Jim Carrey.
It's peak Jim Carrey. I showed it to my kids, and my son liked it. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting, yeah. That's what I mean.
My daughter's like, grow up, guys. What's wrong with you?
I mean, that was kind of the point.
I suppose.
Yeah.
And at that time, I guess.
So I was telling them about Short Round, the character, and so because I saw your name on a timeline, I was showing them that this is reference from Indiana Jones. They've seen the Indiana Jones thing in the theme park.
Oh, right, okay.
They haven't yet seen all the movies. But they're coming
How they
to
know
it.
why a granite ball chases them.
Right, but they're coming to it via Han Solo. It's just the river. I don't think that was my journey. My journey was Indiana Jones first.
Yeah, of course.
The timelines are ruined. So
It's
yes, that's true. Wow, that's so interesting that Harrison Ford is the kind of like the young prequelized version of a Harrison Ford iconic character is the way
leading you back
is
to
the gateway to get to Indiana Jones.
Right.
That's brilliant.
Which will then eventually lead them back to Even Stevens because of Shia LaBeouf. And it all
And
comes
then
full circle.
eventually to American Graffiti, which we all should watch, I think, just to pay ode to George Lucas.
Which will eventually lead to them to vandalizing the walls in Bombay, and they will end up in jail, and it'll be all your fault because you showed them Han Solo.
We did a bit of that with Visual Disobedience back in Flarepath. I like vandalism. That's not a problem.
Also, it's being used a lot for some movie marketing these days, and there's a lot of
man, remember the Deadpool thing?
There's Deadpool, Kabali.
That was actually clever.
Kabali, there was a lot for Logan as well. So there's a lot of that going down. Man, this is so interesting. Cool. On that note, we will take a short break. Just give us a second, won't you?
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance, from stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.
Hey, we just took a break. We're back now. Is it weird that, I know you don't miss the ads or anything like that, but is it weird that, it's like that instant gratification kind of thing? Like, where here we would have to wait for a Saturday morning cartoon, or we have to wait for now it's just like, here you go, that your entire childhood for kids these days will be like on demand. Literally, it's in the title.
Do they have the routine, like you said, every, Sundays, 10:30 was Star Trek? Do they have any kind of routine of any sort?
No, that doesn't exist anymore because
That's
they're
gone,
in a
right?
corner with a phone and a pair of headphones.
So do you know what's the advantage and disadvantage of that?
What do you say?
So here's the thing. So because there's such a plethora of choices for them.
Yeah.
Just trying to get them into your worlds can be challenging, right? So how do I get them into Star Wars? And
But
so
it doesn't help that it's also the biggest
It's the
movie
big- yeah.
in the world.
exactly. So the prequels did that. They came to that world through the prequels,
yeah,
and
correct.
I didn't have to sell it to them.
Sure.
It was sold to them.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
So the biggest success in that is this Suicide Squad, which you
Oh,
guys
yes, we spoke
did
about, yeah.
speak considerably
Highly.
large amounts.
So they
of,
love
and
Suicide Squad. So have they
were-
learned from their mistakes?
Look, that was the one dad moment I had. I said, "There's no way we are seeing this movie." I've heard my friends talk about it.
Right.
Their word is canon for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste time.
Uh-huh.
And that was the only time where peer pressure got the better of them. They had to go and see it.
And they loved it.
They loved it.
But do you think they loved it because Dad said we shouldn't watch this? So he's like, we got him. No,
They'll learn in a few years.
They'll do.
That'll
They'll
come.
do.
That'll
No,
come.
but
Please
my
tell me
question
that was
is-
not the first time they heard Bohemian Rhapsody.
It may. I may have played it at
brain
home.
is
I don't think they recognize it. But I have to tell you this. Right now, their playlist is like Drake and a bunch of rappers whose
You
names I
mean
don't
Drake
know.
and
dying.
40 Drake songs.
40
because of
Drake
Scorpion,
songs
yeah.
and then a bunch of rappers who I don't know about, and then Bohemian
my
Rhapsody,
Man,
Immigrant
I'm
Song.
melting like the Wizard of
Okay,
Oz.
Same playlist.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
right?
All right. See, man, listen, Jishnu, before your brain, unmelt your brain, okay? Check it out. If a child listens to Bohemian Rhapsody at all,
Yeah.
and whether the path has been through Queen or, I mean, just generally through Queen, or because, people used to try and sing it in the bus when we were going to school, or if, if it's through Suicide Squad, what does it matter as long as they end up with Bohemian Rhapsody in their playlist?
Tejas, you'll make a good father. You have the first rule down. That's it.
What? The first rule.
Which is
it
that-
How
doesn't
many?
matter how they get to it.
Sure,
just
sure.
let them do it.
But no.
How many rules are there?
I'd say,
That's it.
I'd say the important thing is that they get to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My worry is that they will be distracted by the line, "Are we a Suicide Squad?"
Yeah.
And then
So
forget
what?
about the music.
What,
No,
just
so the
some
good
kind
thing
of
about that
Bohemian
movie is that
Rhapsody?
it's so
Yeah.
forgettable that it's not referenced at all in their world.
Yeah.
I
But
find
it's left this legacy, this music.
Yeah, so that's basically the legacy of 90s Bollywood, I would say. Also,
My kids
right?
are listening to more Hall & Oates than I have. ever.
My
Yeah,
God, Hall & Oates
cool,
is like
cool, cool,
my is
right?
my
It's
band.
redeemed,
That's
it's
my
redeemed.
band. Yeah.
You've redeemed.
How are they listening to Hall & Oates?
How do they find that?
Through what?
between movies and
500 Days of
YouTubers
Summer?
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say.
YouTubers, a lot of this is going on. I was so happy.
Really?
Like Angira was singing the lyrics to a song which I barely knew. I loved, but I didn't know the lyrics of, and I'm the lyrics guy.
Yeah.
Like she knows
Amazing.
this shit. This
Brava,
moment, like
brava.
A miss.
That's a
That's
redemption.
lens
Fanny.
flare moment, if you will.
Yes. So yeah, that's really interesting that kids can kind of find their ways to all the things that we like. So like you're saying, Indiana Jones through.
I don't want
Han
to
Solo and
sound
stuff.
Jedi and all that, but there are paths that lead all to the same place. Where they come from, no one knows, and
So interesting. That's really interesting.
because ultimately there are these big guys. There's Star Wars.
Yeah.
There are these. So Harry Potter, I'm as
Yeah, correct.
mad about it as they are.
Right.
So then there's one adult in my family who has to ensure that we don't waste too much money.
Your
right?
roommate.
Yeah.
My roommate.
Yes.
So I found this really cool Chinese site where I can get memorabilia for cheap and really no shipping.
Nice.
And some of that stuff should have come to you. I don't know if Dinkar gave it to you.
He doesn't give us anything.
He kept it at his job. That's what he did.
No,
God
it's
damn
not
it.
at his job. That's why I know that. I gave it for you all. It was some cool shit. But anyway, so yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, no, just
God
Dinkar,
damn it.
man. He gives off this vibe that he's this nice dude. He's
Seriously.
not. He's not
Here
a nice
came
guy.
another bus. I threw him again.
Speed 2.
Cruise control. Yeah.
So, Asterix and Tintin.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Cornerstones.
Yeah.
Again,
Amazing.
clearly geek, important.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you think they got onto that? Thanks to Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
The
yeah,
movie came
because
out,
of
right? You like this? There's a whole look
There's
at
more where
this
that came
and-
from.
and
Yeah,
put
yeah.
the whole box set in front of them. They
Ate it up?
completely ate it up.
Awesome.
And then Asterix followed that because
Also,
he said he
I
liked
think
this
it's because Asterix, a lot of the Tintin comics were even before our time, like at least
Oh, yeah.
2009, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Because, yeah, so I think it's, some things just have a legacy that will continue. Like, things like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and Star Wars. We will never now see an age from the time it's begun where we will not see an iteration every, say,
True.
10 years or something. Like,
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is being redone now with Amazon, and they're
Yeah.
going to make it even longer and even more detailed. And Star Wars, they're saying this is the last of the Skywalker saga, but there will be a new saga.
Sure.
And I guess Game of Thrones is the next one.
It will. It's
Yeah.
gonna go. It's
Tech is
gonna
obviously
go the way all these things, the things that work so well that it makes zero sense to keep
Just
milking
diminishing
the cow.
marginal returns, I think.
I think that's all gonna go the way of like your Tom and Jerry's and Warner Brothers and Looney Tunes. It's like Bugs
Updates.
Bunny will always be around. I think that there will be no end to Bugs Bunny. There'll be no end to Tom and Jerry. The varying degrees of success will happen,
Yeah.
but I feel like on any given day you can look up just Google Tom and Jerry and you can find access to it in some capacity. You know what I mean?
Personally, I'm still waiting for Space Jam 2, but
it'll happen. Oh well,
you know,
maybe not. It'll happen. Isn't Kendrick? Not Kendrick.
LeBron.
LeBron.
Yeah. I would, though. Having said that, a Kendrick Space Jam is now what I want. In life.
It's not bad.
That would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, Space Jam. I heard you guys talk about it.
And the title still fits. Sorry, it'll still be a Space Jam. In fact, that's more of a fitting title for a musical movie.
If it's a Disney thing, then you can integrate the Guardians into it.
It's not
Space.
It's a WB,
More
dude.
space.
WB is...
It'll happen eventually.
They'll buy WB as well.
Yeah, man, give
You
it.
can't buy WB, dude. It's Time Warner. Oh my god, they're about as big as...
I said that about Fox and...
No,
look what
Fox was
happened.
never as big. I don't think Fox
I
was ever
worked
as
for
big.
Disney and Fox, and I can tell you that from where I sit, that constructs it's unimaginable.
Sure, but like...
At a business
talk
level,
about like the biggest...
What construct is unimaginable?
That
from a
Disney
business,
would own Fox.
that is unimaginable, just generally speaking, because...
Like Uncle Rupert would have...
Exactly. No, but the other thing is that it's because, I mean, Disney has just kind of just whizzed past everybody because they just friggin' made like the smartest investments
Correct.
ever, and that's it.
Correct.
Like that's how they've managed to do it in a span of 20 years. Less than that, yeah.
Yeah.
Since
true.
since Tony Stark announced himself as
Pretty
Iron Man.
much. Yeah. What is WB's biggest ticket?
Harry
right now?
Potter.
Harry Potter, they
And
have
next up is
I can't remember
they
what
own
it
New
was.
Line Cinema also.
And they own all of the...
Yeah,
that's
so
the
which
thing
is Lord of the Rings.
that's the thing because like Harry Potter is huge and it is epic.
It's
But,
the biggest thing,
But
yeah.
the heart, for lack of a better word, right now, that story is done. And so now
Yeah,
they're
but now
treading
they've
on.
got the new
They
one.
are treading a new territory, much like how Star Wars is treading a
True.
new territory. But Star Wars still has the original
The Skywalker
saga,
name.
the Skywalker saga.
No, but if
continuing.
you think of it from the business point of view, Harry Potter is the one thing that is the most Disney-esque. Talk to that crowd.
Yes,
the
magic.
way it can be sold with memorabilia and theme parks
Sure.
is exactly Disney-esque.
But they will
So
never
it's the biggest
give that
loss
up.
that they...
No,
they
and
will-
also
it was
WB
the
has
biggest
DC.
mistake.
I know, yes, we can all... I know. But it has DC, and still, Superman, Batman... It has Batman, alright? Period. Batman alone can save...
For this new generation, Lego Batman has more potency than Batman.
But it's Batman.
It's Batman.
Yeah.
But it's
Not Lego Spider-Man, it's Lego Batman. And I love Spidey, so, bizarre. But yeah, man, I think... coming back to kids.
Yeah. Wait, so one last thing I want to mention is video games. Was that ever a big thing for you?
So that was the only parental rules I had. A little low on comics. Comics were not appreciated in our time. For some reason, they were like the evil thing that would corrupt you. Like it's what YouTube is now.
Books can have pictures in them. That's not allowed.
Yeah, and video games are just expensive.
Right, yeah,
the
back in the
cost
day, I'm
of
sure,
it.
yeah.
Back in the days, it was
Yeah.
just the thing you passed around the Nintendos.
So you've never been a gamer.
So I was Donkey Kong and Turtle
Oh, sure.
and all
So
of that.
like Sega
like a
and stuff.
NES.
Yeah,
Like a NES
so
guy.
we never had those. Yeah, we didn't have the big gaming things. It was
Right.
those handheld
Okay.
Nintendos.
Oh,
which,
right,
So
right,
do your
right.
kids?
So they're gaming, but my daughters instinctively never liked wasting time on that, according to her.
Sure.
So there's a million things that she would.
All right.
I think
Fair
they just
enough.
make that whole gene pool is different from this.
Man,
male
but I think,
time
yeah,
wasting.
it'll cross over, I think, in
Yeah,
time.
someday.
Yeah, it will.
No, and it's not like
It already is.
some of her friends don't play, but I've tried in like Fortnite and PUBG now.
Correct,
Right.
yeah.
No, just not.
Because,
no,
okay, so
I think it's the right type of... It's like games are not just one thing. It's like they're different genres within that. It's just a medium. So I think everybody has to really find their...
it's like saying,
lane.
I don't watch TV. Of
Right.
course you watch TV. You just haven't found the right TV for
Yeah,
you. Like, There's
exactly.
just so much of it.
Right. True.
But the reason I brought that up is because speaking of the two biggest fish right now, Marvel and Harry Potter, neither of those, at the moment, the MCU and the Harry Potter universe, don't have strong contenders in the video game market.
They are now going
which
to have
is
it.
going to, right? So the thing is, I'm
And
very
Harry Potter
curious.
has a lot of games.
They have a lot, but nothing is
Nothing
killing
has
it.
been-
nothing
yeah,
is,
nothing has
nothing
been
is
Did
great.
you play the last one that just came out?
the last what?
The Harry Potter
The mobile game,
Hogwarts
Mystery? I'm playing it right now.
Oh God.
It's really bad, but I'm playing it because I just want to finish it. and know the
exactly.
story.
And I leveled up and I
I
said,
know.
okay.
Yeah, I'm still on year 1, so I'm still...
The minute you finish it, then you'll realize you're done. After
So-
level 1, that investment,
I
it's
know
worse than
so much.
it's worse than the grind of
Go-
Pokemon Go.
Go,
That's
exactly.
worse.
The grinding is... Man, there's all these games that just require too much grinding.
But that's what I've been trying to get at lately. I've been wondering why. I've been playing the entire Arkham series because it's all been on sale on Steam and it's been great. And those games are
The best.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And now the new Spidey game is coming out, which is going to be a competitor to that vibe. And I'm sure it's going to be amazing and the reviews are great. So that's awesome that we have the Batman thing, we have the Spidey thing. Those characters have been infamous for basically a century now. Everybody knows them. How come the two biggest
I tell you,
candidates, Harry
yeah.
Potter and Marvel and the MCU, don't have a thing. I guess
so
it's
Dinkar
bound to happen.
Dinkar and I was speaking about this, and I was reading a lot about tie-in games. And the problem with those games is that they tried to release them at the time the movies would come out, which gave them a window of about 2 years. To make a good game, like any of the Arkham games, you need like at least 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
right? So,
But
now the thing is that because they tried to stick to those timelines, they came out with really shoddy, glitchy games. And now, since Marvel has taken a step back, because they used to have, like, you can still find them on the App Store for Thor, Iron Man 2, etc. Those are still popular. But since they've taken a step back, Marvel has said, we don't want to be associated with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're just going to now work on just building a standalone kind of like what Arkham did, basically. And that's why they succeeded.
But so look at it this way. So one thing is, to your point of the timeliness of it, they have an answer to that in Contest of Champions, which does have a solid fan base.
No doubt.
So that is like on the money. The minute a trailer drops for the new movie, the entire game, whatever the word is, the design changes to suit Ant-Man, it changes to suit Infinity War, whatever it is. Because that's easy. On a mobile app, it's much easier. But where Arkham really got its beginnings was based off of Nolan's Dark Knight. It's basically
Not
like
really.
a lot of
it is based on the comic book, but like what Rocksteady said,
especially
was,
with like Arkham Knight, dude, like the way that Batmobile functions and the way that everything about that is designed,
No,
it's
it's a
coming
new-
straight
no,
out of the
so-
it's
so-
off the pages of Nolan's screenplays, man.
I mean,
It's got that. It's grounded in a Nolan verse, even though.
I mean, yeah, if you wanted to say that it's like a realistically kind of thing, sure.
They've taken the screen and put it onto your personal video
Because
game.
that's the last thing you've experienced. But overall,
That's what they said when
timeline,
they-
the story was can
The
still
story
be
is,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
they
same story
made
continues.
a completely different
Right,
kind
but
of.
so the thing is, what I'm getting at is that took its time. Nolan's movies happened, and
In
then
fact, like,
and then
Nolan's
the Arkham
movies are
series
not-
continued a ways away after
I think
that.
the Arkham games are the closest to what Batman is like in the comics. This is what I think. The movies, the Tim Burton ones, obviously is a take, Tim Burton's take. Chris Nolan's thing is not at all like the comics, at all. It's just like, it's like a more like if we had to have like a Michael Mann Heat, like that's basically what the movies are. But the game is wanted it, like even the tagline for the last night was "Be the Batman," which is exactly, if you want to know what it is like to be Batman, this is what it is. Because in the movies, it doesn't do half the things that he does in the game, and the game is all about detective mode and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they wanted to do with it. And even Rocksteady said, like, we want to make our definitive take on the Cape Crusader. Let's just do
Because
that.
like detective mode looks exactly like Sonar in Dark Knight. Like
I think
down to the T.
I think it's the other way around. Like,
What do you
because the game came out in 2006, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So
The first one?
Yeah. So Asylum came out much before Night came out. So
When did Red Knight come out? 2008.
2008, the same year that Tony Stark announced himself as Iron Man. But yeah. So yeah, man, I think games are still there. I think just also, here's a tip for your daughter. I think just let her find the right game.
I think so.
that's an important
So
thing.
I just found this game that's a 3 or 4 year old game, which is a narrative which has
Life is Strange?
Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
How did you?
It's my job.
Wow. Yeah, so I played it just
So
now.
that's what
And I
exactly
thought
what
that-
I'm talking
yeah,
about.
I
That there
agree.
are different types of games for and Life is Strange is brilliant. There's no doubt about it. I mean, like, it's a lot like the Telltale games I speak about. Have you played the Telltale games, man?
No.
That's also, it's a lot like that. That it's more about choice and consequence rather than like actual physical, button mashing and things like that. Not to say the job of the game is to get you in the world, and that's about it. I think that if you introduce that,
Mass Effect is a really good middle ground.
So
Also
the entry point for her was because she likes dancing and stuff like that, and sports.
Dance
Central, etc. Those are easy wins there.
Has she ever played DDR?
DDR.
Yeah, she loves DDR.
Dude,
when
DDR
we
is
get to a
amazing.
arcade,
It's so
she
good.
loves it.
Yeah,
She can play it better than I would ever. Like, I can't
Sure.
even start to hop.
Yeah.
And sports. Sports games
I feel
are
like the FIFA game.
So she's kind of into it, but again, it has a more video gamey feel than. So
I feel
if
like
we
people
play
don't
Wii
even
tennis,
watch-
for example.
Yeah, it's more like
should-
You should
actually in
throw
the
her a
game.
curveball and just give her Resident Evil VR.
okay. As
and
someone
just
who has
jump
played
off
it,
the dark side.
I have played Resident Evil VR,
I did
and that
too.
is not. It's not.
I
full
pooped my
stop.
pants. I really
can't
pooped my
even-
pants.
yeah.
It's
No, but
it's
to get her to put on
terrifying.
a VR headset is going to be
Really?
just no.
That's really.
I don't think we've
irritating.
reached it.
Even
like,
for your son, it's not exciting at all. Huh,
This
it's
whole
gimmicky.
Yeah, it's gimmicky for
Is
all of them.
AR? Does AR work?
Slightly. I tried these new AR games that are on AR Kit.
Yeah, Go and stuff is all- Pokemon Go is all
They
AR, right?
were not even Pokemon Go. Like, you can play it without the AR mode, and that's fine. So me and my son would grind Pidgeys and all of that. But the AR mode is not for even at that age, for him, it wasn't exciting. So some of these games where you can put a Battlefront on your dining table and play. And
yes, of course, like what like tabletop is turning into. Yeah,
but not exciting. It's because they have so much magic in their lives.
I also feel like
every day
the technology is not there yet.
Not yet.
It's not there.
It's all right. It's
we're in the 80s of what video gaming was, like the Atari.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
that sounds about where it is.
That's fair.
Great. So, what have we learned, Jishnu?
Dinkar has no job.
Okay.
He is a
He's the
vagrant. He lives under buses. I think he just clings onto buses, and then when you step off the bus, he lets go, and you're like, oh my god, I ran over you. He's like, yeah, you should feel bad, pay me money. So he lives off of... He's a scam artist.
He's a pity
He lives
guy.
off of those payoffs.
He's a pity dude.
So next time I see him, I'll give him nothing but a slap.
Nice. And he'll
Done.
accept it graciously. Why are we doing this? Okay, so
I'm
that's
sorry,
one thing.
Dinkar, I'm sorry.
He's not sorry. He's shaking his head. You can't see. He's crossing his fingers. Anyway, but so apart from that, if you want to get your kids into sci-fi, if you have kids and you're listening to this podcast, well done. You made it into the next phase of your life without giving up on your dreams and your passions. It's amazing. And if you still manage to have kids, and if you want to get them into science fiction and fantasy, the point we're trying to make is that they'll find it themselves through some way or the other, and that's that, I suppose.
So, do you have any closing advice for kids?
For kids?
For kids to their parents.
Kids to oh wow, okay, yeah. Let's get
Listen to your parents' kids. They're not all bad.
Not all of them, yeah.
I have to represent the parents, dude. I have to go and show
I
my
suppose
face.
so.
I guess.
Yeah.
Your roommate might be listening.
They anyway don't like me because I get this whole cool vibe thing going on.
I know. Do they hate that? That like people think
Parents
you're like
do
a
not
cool
like
guy?
me. No, they do not like me.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's gonna suck.
Cool uncle is not a great place.
It's like, when you post a very controversial thing on Facebook and people kind of chide you for it. You feel like that's cool.
That's Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and kids just get off social media. It's not good for you.
Wait, are your
Is
kids
your
on
business
Facebook? Sorry.
built on social media?
Whoops.
Are your kids threw myself under the bus?
Something that runs in the company.
Yeah, apparently.
But are your kids on Facebook, or like are they on?
They
like,
hate Facebook. I tried to
So that's the thing, right? That's done for this generation.
Snapchat, super.
Sorry,
Instagram, very big.
I have to interject. My 15-year-old cousin, for the last 3 years, I've been arguing with her that she says that Facebook is dying, it's dead, and it's only Snapchat and Instagram.
Yeah.
Really?
People, yeah.
But,
I know some
hang
people
on.
who have only
Here,
Instagram
my
profiles.
only argument to her is that when she is 18 or in college and starts having something she needs to sell, she and her peers will get on Facebook.
You are
they
spot
won't
on.
get. No, they
Right?
won't.
That's why I still have a job. That's exactly right.
I disagree. I think it'll just be sold on Instagram, and
No,
that's enough.
so
that's
it's
enough.
when she wants-
It's like
okay.
email, right? You don't love email, but
Yeah.
you're gonna need it.
I put it as
is
simply
the
as this.
last of the old guard,
I put
which
it
will
as this.
stay. Okay.
How about the scenario of you're in college, it's just the weekend, you want to throw a party. That's it. No agenda other than I want to hang out with my friends. I want to get the word out there to a large group of people, a lot of people who I might not know.
Right.
I can't text strangers. I can't email them for sure. I will make a Facebook event. Once that happens, the doors are open, and then Facebook does what Facebook does, and then you are now in the world of Facebook.
I think Instagram or some other social... Instagram will evolve to become that because Facebook will die. Nobody's going to go back to a dying horse, right? Like it's going to move on to Instagram. Instagram's adding features every single day. Snapchat is going to do it. And they won't have to invite people anymore. It's all on WhatsApp.
Snapchat is just porn at this point.
Yeah.
It's just,
Really?
It's
should get on with Snapchat.
Dude, it's...
Man, and I'm
it's
telling you, the
sad.
future, kids are all going to be on blockchain. So that's basically it. That's what the future is going to be.
I'll just figure out what that means and I'll come back to you.
Trust me, it's evolving into blockchain.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
it. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for being on the episode. It was really fun. And we should do this again. But this time, we should get your kids on the show.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah. And then we'll throw you under the bus.
Every day. That's my life.
Cool. So let us know what you guys are watching. What do you guys suggest that kids kind of get into? Or do you think there's something that kids are not paying attention to that they should because it was such a classic, like Indiana Jones? Maybe, I don't know. Let us know. Mail us. Contact geekfruit@gmail.com. Or you can even find us on social media. We are at Geek Fruit HQ on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, that dying breed, and not Snapchat because we have a soul. Okay. See you later, you nerds.
Did I just catch you on your way to work? Or did you end up pulling an all-nighter? Let me guess. You have a packed schedule for the day, the week, and probably the month and the year. That's a lot for your mind to handle, don't you think? This buzzing chaos also brings tons of negative thoughts. Am I right? Try spinning that bottle in a positive direction with me, Chetna, on the Positively Unlimited podcast, every Monday on IBM Podcasts. It's time to change your life one alphabet at a time.
Did you know that Parsis in Mumbai, instead of being left at the Tower of Silence after they die, are now cremated? And why? Because a cow fell sick in the early 1990s. Did you know that the smog in Delhi is caused by something that farmers in Punjab do and that there's no way to stop them? Did you know that there wasn't one gas tragedy in Bhopal, but 3? One of them was seen but 2 were unseen. Did you know that many well-intentioned government policies hurt the people they're supposed to help? Why was demonetization a bad idea? How should GST have been implemented? Why are all our politicians so corrupt when not all of them are bad people? I'm Amit Verma, and in my weekly podcast, The Seen and the Unseen, I take a shot at answering all these questions and many more. I aim to go beyond the seen and show you the unseen effects of public policy and private action. I speak to experts on economics, political philosophy, cognitive neuroscience, and constitutional law so that the insights can blow not only my mind, but also yours. The Seen and the Unseen releases every Monday. So do check out the archives and follow the show at seenunseen.in. You can also subscribe to The Seen and the Unseen on whatever podcast app you happen to prefer.